Okay, I'm going to be reading the analyzing graphs and calculating speed test for you today. I'm going to read pretty quickly because if you need one repeated, all you need to do is rewind the video and you can go back to that particular question. All right, number 1 through 5 is going to be corresponding with these 4 graphs right here. You can see here that it says graph A right here, graph B, and graph C, and graph D. So the next 5 questions, you'll match up the question with one of these 4 graphs. And since there's 5 questions, that means you'll use one of these graphs 2 times. Number 1, which of the graphs above would have the following data points? And it says distance in centimeters and time in seconds. 0, 10, 10, 10, and 15. And then 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Which of the graphs above show an object traveling away from home, back to home, and then away from home again? So just to remind you, for these 5, you're picking one of these graphs up here, A, B, C, or D. Number 3, which of the graphs above is an example of an object speeding up? Pick graph A, B, C, or D for that one. Number 4, in which of the graphs above does the moving object first begin traveling away from home, then stop for a period of time, then continues traveling away from home? Pick graph A, B, C, or D. And the last one, number 5. In which of the graphs above is the object slowing down? Pick graph A, graph B, graph C, or graph D. Now for number 6 and 7, it says record your answer in the grid on your answer document. And we're going to do it a little different. You should be recording your answers on a separate sheet of notebook paper. So for number 6 and 7, instead of putting A, B, C, or D, what you're going to do is calculate the speed and then write your answer on your notebook paper. So for example, if you thought the answer was 10 meters per second, then you would write 10 meters per second for that number. Okay? Now I'm not going to tell you which one, but 6 and 7, one of them is going to be a repeating decimal. And when you write your answer, normally for a repeating decimal, we draw a little line over the repeating decimal. So let me give you an example on the screen. If you thought the answer was 3.4 repeating, normally you'd write the answer like that. However, later on, when we put this in Smart Response, you can't do a repeat sign. So if you thought the answer is going to be 3.4, in Smart Response, you would enter it as 3.44, like this. Okay, so keep that in mind. Instead of using a repeat sign this time, you're just going to repeat the decimal 2 times and then stop. All right, so now I'll go ahead and read. Number 6, Mr. Mayfield kicked a soccer ball that traveled 30 meters in 1.5 seconds. How fast was the ball moving? You're going to go ahead and calculate. Speed equals total distance divided by total time. Now, you won't be graded on showing your work this time, but I recommend you do that anyway, just to help you get the correct answer. Number 7, an executive drove 1 hour from home to an airport 40 miles away where a helicopter was waiting. The executive then boarded the helicopter and flew to the corporate office 165 miles away, and the flight took 2 hours to get there. What was his average speed for the entire trip? Again, show your work, but you won't be graded by showing your work. You'll only be graded on having the correct answer. All right, number 8. Which type of graph should be used to display data collected on the distance a toy car travels in a certain amount of time? A, bar graph. B, data table. C, line graph. D, pie graph. Now number 9. When creating a graph which variable belongs on the x-axis? Is it A, the control, B, the constant, C, the dependent, or D, the independent? Now for number 10, I want you to be very careful. I want you to pay attention. There's 4 graphs here. There's graph A, graph B, graph C, and graph D. Now at first, all 4 graphs look very, very similar. I'm going to zoom this out just a little bit. But you need to look very, very carefully at them. I want you to notice that here where it says population, the numbers are different on certain graphs. And that's important to pay attention to. Also want you to pay very close attention to the years at the bottom here. Okay? And then I want you to pay very careful attention to where each data point is and what that matches up to when you go over to the population and when you go down to the year down here. Because this is a tricky one. Now, the question says, which of the following graphs correctly represents the data provided? And here it gives you the populations, and here it gives you the years. So you're going to look at which graph for 1980 says 2 million, for 1985 says 2 million, for 1990 says 4 million, for 1995 says 6 million, and then here it says 1997, 8 million. One of these graphs matches this data. You'll put A, B, C, or D. Now number 11. You have line A here, then line B here, and then line C here. Number 11 says, which object represented in the graph to the right is traveling at the slowest speed? Is it A, line A, B, line B, C, line C, or D? They are all moving at the same speed. Number 12, how would you describe the speed of car B? Is it faster than Is it faster than car A and slower than car C? Or is it faster than car A and C? Or is it faster than car C and slower than car A? Or are they all traveling at a constant, fast pace? Number 13. This is going to be a speed problem, so you're going to have to use the formula speed equals total distance divided by total time. My dog was down the street about 45 yards. When I called her to come home, she took 18 seconds to reach me. How fast was she running? A, 0.4 yards per minute. B, 2.5 yards per second. C, 2.5 yards per minute. Or D, 3 yards per minute. Almost done. Number 14. Based on the data in the graph to the right, which 2 points was the car not in motion? So you're going to look at this graph right here, and there's points A, points B, C, D, and E. Now it says between 2 of the points, it wasn't moving. So is it A, point A to B, or is it point B to point C to point D, or point D to point E? Number 15, using the graph from number 14, what was the car's average speed for the entire trip? Now, it's asking for average speed, so you're going to have to use the formula. Average speed is total distance divided by total time. You're going to use this graph to find out what was the total distance and the total time, and then work the problem. Possible answer choices are 0.12 miles per hour, 8 miles per hour, 8.4 miles per hour, or 9 miles per hour.